Hello, Brick Sculptors, and welcome back to Brick Sculpt. This is Chris, and today we have another exciting episode of Help Me Brick Sculpt. Today's episode, we help solve a problem by Annette. Let's take a look. Annette sent me this email, said, I built a vase for botanical flowers for a friend of mine to put on their desk. That's cool. However, when I got done building it, I somehow forgot about the bottom. Yeah, that's a problem. How do I enclose the bottom of the vase without adding any additional layers to the vase? Thanks for what you do. Well, thank you, Annette. I'm glad you like what I do, and hopefully we can help you with your problem here. I'm assuming by additional layers, you're talking about not adding beneath this layer. So that's what we're going to do. I actually have 3 different solutions here. This vase is super cool. I love the spiral pattern. This is a simple design, but looks very complex and is absolutely stunning. I can't wait to show you how this is built. Yeah, I've got some good solutions, so let's get after it here. Now, in Annette's design, the first thing we do is stack 1x2 bricks. I'm using masonry bricks just because I think they look good, and I had a huge bag of them in gray, and this requires a lot of pieces. So here I have 9 of them stacked. The next thing you're going to do is you're going to take 1x1 round bricks. Now, I've seen a lot of cylinders made. You often see them using 1x3 bricks and these round bricks, but I really like this method because it looks super clean when it's done. And we're just going to put 1x1 round on each of these stair steps like this. And then we're going to make a whole bunch of these. The design that Annette did here is made up of 12 1x2s all the way around, which also means 12 1x1 rounds. So we're going to need a bunch of these. Well, I won't make you watch me build them all. Here's the rest. So now we can take our new layer and just plug it right in. In this spot, we'll have to add our 1x1 round right there. And we'll have to add one right here for when we connect it. But this is super satisfying. I mean, look at that curvability. This is like big time bending bricks-esque. You can do some fun stuff with this, and I'd love to play around with this more, making curved walls and things. I know this is not the best color selection. I would have wanted to do the 1x1 rounds in just normal light gray, but I didn't have that many of them. But I did have them in clear, and it looks pretty cool that way. So the reason I liked the gray, though, is though this might be a vase to Annette, to others this would make a really cool tower, especially for a castle. All right, so we're just going to wrap this around. This is the real satisfying part. And connect it. And to the best of my knowledge, nothing here thus far is illegal. You know, these rounds definitely allow a certain degree of movement in these bricks. So there really shouldn't be anything overly stressed in this. If you tried to make this circle super tight, maybe 11 or 10 bricks, it might become illegal. But I don't believe this to be illegal. Now, let me know in the comments if you think I'm wrong. If you add another brick or two, then it definitely wouldn't be. But I mean, you can see it's got some movement to it, which leads me to believe it's a pretty legal build. All right, so we've got our circle there. I just did 9 high. She obviously did a lot more than that, probably about double, but that's okay. This is enough to prove the point, get the concept down, and fix her problem. So there we have our round. Let's go ahead and talk about some bases we could put on this. The first base I'm going to build, I'm going to call the SNOT base. And that's because, you guessed it, we're going to use SNOT technique. There we go, grab some parts here. This is going to be the key portion to attach this to the vase. Now this technique might be mildly illegal. I'll show you when I put it in, but it still works because of the amount of flex in this, so it might even be legal. I'm not totally positive. We're going to start by putting 2 1x2 plates below this to match the outside of the vase. Next, we're going to build a little bit of like a wedge. So I've got 2 2x6 plates here, stick those together. 2x4 plate right on top. I've got a couple of slopes. I'm using random colors, but obviously you'd want to make this in whatever color you want. You're probably not going to see it though. It's down inside the vase. And then I have a 2x2 plate right there. We can go ahead and stick that on this here. and that is going to be 1/4 of our base. I got to make 4 of these. There's 4 of them. And they're going to go around like this to make a circle. Now I have to build the insert for the middle. You could just do a very simple insert like this. This is just a 6x6 plate with brackets, so you could stick them on the outside like that. This will allow it to flex a little bit. So I'm going to actually show you another version that I like a little bit more, and it will be flush with these then. But if you want real simple, that will do it. The one I'm going to build starts with basically 3 layers of plate stacked, or if you have a 6x6 brick, you could use it. Those are kind of uncommon, but they are out there. And then we're going to grab a whole bunch of different brackets here. Now I have hanging down, sticking up, and I have some skinny hanging down. And I'm going to start this pattern by, on one edge, do a hanging down bracket, from the underside, sticking up, and then again from the top, hanging down. The reason I'm alternating is that when I connect these, then they won't have any ability to flex because it's pulling from both sides of this stack. I am going to leave an empty spot on the end because it's going to interfere with the bracket on the other side. Same thing over here. And we'll just repeat that pattern all the way around this square. Now it looks kind of ugly and confused right now. Let's go ahead and fill in some of the gaps. Again, this is all optional. You could do a very simple base in here, but why not do something a little bit more complicated just to give a little more structural abilities here. Ability. Just going to add some plate here at the bottom. Couple 2x2s at the top, just to make it look a little more symmetrical. There we go. Now we can fill that in too, and we can fill the top in, but I'm going to leave the top blank for now. Now let's go ahead and connect these around the outside, one on each side. It's nice and solid, and there we go. Now because this has 12 sides, I'm going to replace every 3rd brick with this base here. So I'm going to take 1 out, skip 2, take 1 out, skip 2, take 1 out, skip 2, take 1 out. Now in her design especially, she only used masonry bricks for part of it, so this should blend very seamlessly into this design. I'm not 100% if they make these pieces in red. I forgot to look, to be honest. So you may have to change the color up if that's a problem, or I've got 2 other solutions. And we're just going to stick that in, and we have a base with pretty minimal gaps. This is nice and flush to the bottom here. If you do use a design like this, it does run the risk of bowing underneath a little bit. So this is definitely a lot more solid. And this gives you a nice attachment point. So let's say you're not making a vase, or maybe you are and you want to stick it down, but maybe it's a tower. You can now stick this in grid. I did a little example here. I've got a 16x16 base plate. We'll just put 1 plate there in the middle. And we can just stick this down right in grid there. You can make an awesome castle tower with a lot of pieces, just like that. Pretty simple. But that's not what we're doing right now. We are making vases. So we're going to go ahead and take it off that base plate again. Hey, it's a Star Spangled Knife. All right, that's one solution. Let's go ahead and take a look at another one. Okay, so everything's been reset here, and let's show you what else we can do. Now this method I really like because it allows for bar pieces to make kind of that odd number that you need. You know, when you're dealing with round things, you're dealing outside a grid, these bars give you adjustability where they can slide, and this actually doesn't really have to slide much at all, but it gives you the ability to move it if it needs to. What I'm doing here is I have 2 of these 1x2 SNOT pieces with single stud in them. You could also do this with 2 studs and just have it offset, but I like this because it's nice and centered. Bar piece, 1x1 plate with round with open stud on that side, and just connect them like that with a bar in the middle. All right, we're going to need 4 of those. Here we go. And then we'll have to make a base. For this base, I'm going to use these quarters, and I'm just going to take 4 of them and attach them on the underside of a 6x6 plate. Now we can take these pieces and just put them around the outside like this. If you wanted to make this really structurally sound, you'd build right over the top of this. It'll make for a thicker base, but it won't go anywhere. But I'm just going to do this for now. Just like in our last design, we're going to take out every 3rd brick. So 1, skip 2, 1, skip 2. Oops, I got the round one also. 1, skip 2, and 1. And that will allow this to just stick right down inside of these open gaps, and it's very seamless. Now obviously this doesn't match the masonry bricks, but you don't really notice it. And on her design, that won't really be a problem. Now I do have this sticking below the vase. You could put this up a layer so it doesn't go below, or just attach this on the top instead of the bottom. You'll also notice I have a lot of gaps down in there, but they can be filled. There's lots of different ways to do that. The one way I found that I liked was using these. And I'm just going to put these around the outside. It's kind of hard to reach down in here. I didn't really think this through. Fat hands. And you can just put them right on top of these. And of course you could build that middle up as well to meet with these. Man, my hand just barely fits in there. There's from the bottom. And from the top. So yeah, you could build that center up also if you want. But nice solid base. I love watching that spin. That's so cool. And of course, just like the last design, I could stick this down in grid. Just like that. Oh, this one's got a lot of attachment points because I got a whole 8x8 circle down there. And you can make it fit nice and flush in grid as well if you're making a tower. Cool. Let's look at one more design. All right, we've reset it again. So now we can start putting in a base, and this is the one I actually like the most because it's the most adaptable. It's going to be quite simple too. It's a lot like how you would put shelves in a bookcase. So we're going to take some of these 2x2 tiles with 2 studs. We're going to put 2 plates on top of those 2 studs, and we're going to make 8 of these. Now you can do this with a loose bottom where it just holds the bottom in if you only use 4, but if you use 8, you can actually lock the base in, which I think is an optimal design. Now to install these, we're going to have to go down 2 layers. So we're going to start by taking out 1 brick every 3rd one, just like in the last 2 designs. And you could also, if you want this super secure, you could add more layers of this, but I think 4 is plenty. And then we're going to take out a 2nd layer. So where this one's missing, I'm going to take this one as well. So I'm going to take out the clear one and the brick. I'm going to do that on each layer. So now we're going 2 layers deep, but don't be concerned. This actually takes up the least space of any of them. That top one is just how we're going to lock the layer in. So then we're going to take our first 4 of these, and we're going to plug them in on that 2nd layer, and that's going to lock our base in place. A lot of my favorite connections in Lego are actually making stuff stay in place based on lack of movement and not so much using studs. When you're building in a circle like this, you don't have a lot of studs to work with because they're all out of grid. But you can restrict the movement of a part and essentially lock it wherever you want. Now we have to build a base. Now when I first tried this design, I actually used one of these big octagons. And they do fit, but you have to kind of maneuver it in a little bit. I don't like this method as much, but you could put some tile on the outside of this, and you could use one of these. I'm going to show you what I like more, and that is to build my own base. And the way I'm going to do that, I'm going to start with a 6x6 center. Then I have a whole bunch of these corners. I have 8 of them. And I'm going to build them like this. So I have an 8x8 circle on the bottom. And then the 6x6 of plate in the middle. And then I'm going to take these, which I've put 1x2 plates, tiles on the outside. I'm going to do 4 of those all the way around. Now it is a little funkier of a shape than this, and you could make this a little bit smoother if you wanted to really get crazy with parts, but you're probably not going to see most of this anyway. It's just there to give a nice solid base inside the vase. Base inside the vase. My next album. And we're just going to put another 8x8 on the top. Oops, dropped one. There we go. And this base, I think, fits really nicely because it's not going to hit the walls at all. And we're just going to want to take those smooth portions where the tiles are, and we're going to line those up where these tabs are, like this. And if you don't want this to rotate, you can also put some rounds on this, either round studs, just 1x1 round plate, or you can do some taller ones like these clear ones here. But I don't mind if it spins a little bit for this design. And then we're just going to lock it in place. We're going to take our second layer of these, and we're just going to put it right here, all the way around. And once those are in, this can still rotate. But like I said, we could put some rounds in the corner there, and it would stop it from spinning. But it's going to be held in place just by lack of motion, which is pretty cool. Now we can fill in our clear 1x1 round bricks. And there we go. These parts I know you can get in red. The other ones I'm not totally positive. But that is also a nice low profile base. Doesn't really add much to the design as far as visibility. And just like the other ones, you can still stick this down in grid. Well, Annette, I hope this helps solve your problem there and makes your vase complete. Thank you everybody for watching. If you like this video, please like and subscribe. I'll do more just like this in the future. If you have any questions, please leave them below. I'll do my best to answer them. And if you have a Lego problem, yes, it has to be a Lego problem, email me, bricksculpt.chris@gmail.com. And if I like the problem, if I can find a solution for the problem, and I think it'll be relevant to others, I'll make a video on it. That's all I have for this time, and we will see you next time.